Now, with like you were saying, your three releases are of like three different styles, and
A little bit.
yeah, and it's there wasn't that much time in between, and it's not like you're just scratching the surface. You went deep on each style, and it sounds like,
Try.
yeah, it sounds like you've been doing each one for many years. Now, with your second one being a little more classically influenced, and your latest one very heavily jazz influenced, there's um, it to go between classical and jazz harmony in theory, you do it with ease. Can you talk a little bit about what you find some of the similarities and differences in what someone would consider classical harmony or jazz harmony or theory?
It's a very cool question, man. um, it's a little bit delicate, because it's a huge, it's a huge topic, very
Oh yeah, yeah,
historical also. You know, to me there is some difference, and for some reason, jazz and classical can be very similar, and that for other reason, very
yeah,
different.
yeah.
You know, to me the most different things from classical jazz is the blue notes.
Right.
For instance, can I have a chord like that? Uh, with blue note, if I play a line like that,
Right.
you can find these things in classical. You
Yeah.
can find it's very difficult to find it. But
Exactly.
in classical, you can find a chord like that.
Yeah.
This is A13 chord, okay, pretty bluesy, pretty jazz.
Yeah.
You can find it in classical. It's all a lot of elements I want to say are in common.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is the context and the meaning the meaning of the elements that are different.
Yeah.
The vocabulary often are pretty similar, but is using the language different.
Yeah.
Okay. For instance, I have this chord. Okay, A13. If I play things like this is like a cadence, very classical cadence,
Yeah.
like a Mozart. I have a two melodic, kind of melodic minor.
Yeah.
Okay, this is a pretty cliche of Mozart cliche. When he needs to do a cadence, you can find every time the two first inversion, one
Right.
second inversion. The five is jazz, okay?
Yeah.
But in jazz, we have all these chords with extension that are independent chords.
Yeah.
In classical, talking about the classical era now, this tension is not independent, the 13 is moved. It's an appoggiatura on approaching tones.
Yeah.
In jazz, is stable tones. In
Yeah.
classical,
Exactly.
no. Also here, is a neighbor tone. It's not a melodic minor, but in
Yeah.
jazz you can do. Okay? Of course, talking about classical jazz, it was very inspired also by classical harmony and baroque. And
Yeah.
you can a lot of things like very harmonically clear.
Yeah.
But I want to say, depend also the historical period. If you go now, if you make an example, if you go much after, in the late Romantic period, early 20th century, we have a composer like Debussy or Ravel that harmonically are much more free
Yeah.
than Mozart. That was already much more free than Bach or Corelli.
Right.
And
It's
Bach was more free than Palestrina.
an
Every era
evolution.
has some language.
Yeah.
And for instance, also this chord. Let's take another jazz chord, okay? Make another example with the guitar because I have the guitar here, man.
Yeah.
So take this chord. This is like a dominant altered.
Yep.
7 chord, very super common in jazz. You have things like 2-5-1. Typical resolution in jazz.
Yeah.
Pretty tonal. 5-1. Pretty tonal cadence. If you take a later romantic harmony, you can find this chord with the same voicing of that jazz guitar player used. Same voice, but maybe it can resolve in another direction. For instance,
Yeah.
look, I can take this chord. Okay, it's not resolved by the typical cadence.
Yeah.
Not resolved with a perfect cadence, like in the 2-5-1. Okay, this is like a 6, a lowered 6 altered, resolving.
Yeah.
This is a possible cadence, chromatic. I can move like that. Look.
Right.
Okay. A 7 sharp 5, resolve it to F sharp major 7. Okay, or first inversion. Look, this is not a standard cadence. Okay,
Yeah.
then classical late romantic, because they was close the period, you know.
Right.
Earlier 20th century, like I said, the first 15 years, you can find exactly the same chord of jazz, but they had different meaning.
Right.
I like these things. I like sometimes I read a score, I find a voicing that is exactly a voicing that I was finding in a pianist of the bebop era, for instance, or a guitar player. For instance, look this. This is another jazz chord.
Yeah.
I can resolve like that. Or D major, F7, sharp 5, flat 9, seems pretty dominant sound, but not a dominant. I resolve.
Yeah.
Now, flat 9, F, I can resolve B minor, completely unrelated.
Yeah.
From a classical tonal and functional perspective, are related for other concept.
Right. Now, when you're learning all this stuff, you have to really internalize it and for you to use it effectively. And also a big difference in the two can also be the rhythmic phrasing, and that also has to be internalized to use it effectively. Now, with you having such a high level of composition, technique, and the application of this jazz and classical, you had to have, along with a ton of natural talent, you had to have a pretty regimented practice and study practice. Did you feel
Going crazy?
Yeah.
Just going crazy.
Well, did it consume you? Was it something that was almost like 24 hours a day, and or did you have set times set aside? Okay, I'm going to work on this. I'm going to work on that. Or was it more like an obsession that almost every waking moment was devoted to ingesting this, digesting this, and getting to understand it?
It's a cool question, and basically, I like this kind of things that are more natural to me too. For instance, I don't like become crazy with pedals, amplifier, guitars. I have one guitar, you know. Some people find that their own natural predisposition and passion and spend more time there, you know.
Right.
For instance, naturally, I have the tendency to work in these elements because I enjoy them, you know. Then I work more in a direction of It's more an emotional intelligence,
Yeah. Yeah.
these kind of things. I think that I like to enjoy a lot. It's more natural to spend also a lot of hours, Of course, when you are 15 years old, you have much more time. And you have a lot of time free,
Yeah.
You can, if you want, have more time free respect than when you have 30, Then,
Right.
of course, going with the years, I have less and less time, of course, because I am busy doing things,
Exactly.
need to survive.
Yeah.
You have of course, when you have 15, you have less responsibility,
Yeah.
of when you have 40, for instance. Then I wanted to say that it's more difficult now than respect when it was 15, but I still study a lot, first because, like I said, I like, and to me it's more natural to do other stuff, and going crazy, basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I try to dedicate as time as possible to this kind of work. Sometimes it must be better if I must work more on the promotion of my music, for instance,
Exactly. Yeah.
But sometimes I say I need to focus here, otherwise I already know the result will be very bad.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
I don't focus a good amount, if I'm not entering contact with what I want to express, nothing came out from me. I
Right.
know how I work from this perspective. Then, unfortunately, also when I said I must do other things, I try to save as time as I can
Right.
for my music, because in the end of the day, it will be my testament.
Exactly. Yeah. And now, as a as we get older and we're making a living with our music, you have to balance the business side of it with the creative side, and that can be challenging. And the business side may not be as pleasurable as the music side, but if you want people to hear your music, that's a necessity that you have to do. Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah. Now, I first heard of you many years ago when I saw a video of you playing the Simpsons theme, and one may not think of a cartoon theme song as being a great compositional piece, but that piece has a ton of great stuff in it. Now, when you first got into that, were you already pretty knowledgeable about that, or did you learn a lot just from dissecting that piece to play it?
Good question. Um, my very first version of the Simpsons is still on YouTube. It's pretty old.
Yeah, like 10 years or something like
Yeah,
that?
yeah. No, my knowledge was kind of decent. Also because I told you that I study a lot of book.
Yeah,
Then sometimes that was helpful for analyze the music,
yeah,
And for sure that I love the Simpsons
yeah,
series. Then I always watch the Simpsons, and then that team I was always my hero. And then that has a great arrangement first,
hmm
and has a cool harmonic sounds,
yeah, yeah,
and then all the things I like, and I develop after,
yeah,
maybe in a subconscious way, I can say.
yes, yeah,
And then I was pretty attracted by that team because has shared moments,
yeah, exactly.
fast runs around the Walton scale played by the strings woodwinds, and cool, very very great arrangement, and cool team.
Yeah,
It's based around lead and dominant
Right.
harmony that modulate to whole tone. That the two sounds are pretty related. 7 notes in common.
Yeah.
6 notes, sorry, in common. Then a lot of things give me the inspiration for do a cover of that piece, because I like a lot of elements of that little composition. And then what I did, I remember that I searched for a MIDI file of all the orchestration, and I said, okay, because it was in a period that I was building my technique 10 years ago, I was building my ideas, I said, okay, first, if I need to transcribe this piece of music, there is no guitar. Then I can avoid patterns and fingering, especially, and cliche of the guitar, because I need to transcribe this fast run of the harp. To play this fast whole tone scale. Then my idea was selecting first the part that I wanted to play. And my idea was kind of crazy. I want to play as much as part as possible, but from different instruments. Then jumping from the orchestra. Then my version, at the beginning, I play the harp. I play the harp. Then I go to play the theme. Then I play some clarinet fast runs. The strings runs. Again harp. Then the Lisa solo. Then some marimba parts. I had all the orchestration. And I said, okay, I play this in sequence. And I wanted also to make my part as difficult as I can, because it was also a study for me, a study of technique. And I liked it a lot in that period, especially take inspiration from other instruments, and playing them on the guitar for finding my own fingering. Because also these details like fingering create your own voice and your own sound on the guitar, on the own instrument. Then also now I transcribe a lot of instrument that is not mine. There's a lot of saxophone player. Things a lot of saxophone player inspire also about the kind of articulation of the sax. Then develop a lot of picking, like pick one note, I go with hammer, or pull off with the other note, then pick hammer, a kind of saxophone. Articulation. Or I transcribe to pianist for the guitar. Maybe sometimes I make some reduction of piano chords on the guitar. Because we were saying earlier, you can play
exactly
chords. For instance, I have the piano here. Let me play the piano. I have a chord that on the guitar is pretty hard to do. Is things like that. Let me play here. Okay.
Yeah.
I have 6 notes, some close. I mean, the piano is very easy to do. But on the guitar, I can do. Sometimes I take chord from pianist. I take off some of the less important notes.
Right.
And I play on the guitar, and I can develop some signature voicing, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's cool.
Then, with the Simpsons, it was the first time that I was using this approach.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
I said, okay, this is the strings. Okay, let's find a fingering and a technique.
Yeah.
Fingering together with the technique. And really, for make that arrangement, I really spend a very little time, because another things I like to do is, okay, of course, I spend a lot of time building the technique, but when I need to go to play, I don't want to spend too much time becoming crazy, playing a part that I'm not able to do, for instance, with alternate picking.
Gotcha, yeah.
And I have this line, okay, it's pretty fast. I try quicker as I can to find a finger that give me the possibility to play the line as fast as I can without losing time. Then sometimes I can choose tapping, sometimes I can play alternate picking, sometimes hybrid picking, you know.
Right.
A
So
mixer.
it was sort of when deciding what technique you used to play each line, it was sort of the path of least resistance for you. Like, oh, this line would be very difficult to do alternate picking, so I'm going to do legato
Absolutely, yes.
with the
All the,
tapping. Yeah, gotcha.
all, I work only in this direction.
Yeah, yeah,
Some people say you are allowed to technique, yes, but you know, also no, also it's not true because I do the things that I am able to do. Of course, these things works for everybody, you know,
right.
because doesn't exist a guitar player that can play everything because the world of the guitar is pretty various, you know.
Exactly, yeah.
Then yes, I try to find a strategy when I'm arranging. It can be a bit my composition can be a real arrangement I'm doing, like the Simpsons, for instance. It can be everything. I try to find the quickest. I can
Yeah,
say this word. It makes sense in English.
yeah, yes, yeah. The quickest.
Exactly, way to play the idea
Yeah,
because I already know that if I stay too long around an idea, then I get tired and want to move to another things.
yeah,
You know, of course,
gotcha.
in the early years when I was much younger, and then when you have years 16, 17, you can stay to play the same scale hour and an hour. You enjoy it. You know,
Right, right.
I did these things. You know, but very soon I started to say, okay, I learned these things where I can use this, how I can have the best results also technically and sonically without spending an incredible amount of time, but
Yeah,
having a good result. Working all around strategies to make something work without becoming crazy, because I still became crazy in general for doing these things, you know. But working, finding strategies for
yeah,
arrive to the result in
right.
a good way.
Yeah, yeah, cool. Now,
I mean, my main exercise was finding the strategies.
yeah, yeah, trying to get from point A to point B in the shortest amount of time, you know?
Yeah, of course. For some things, you need to take the right amount. Of course,
Exactly, yeah,
I was saying if you need to develop the coordination between your two hands and you don't have, of course, you need a lot of time. You can't escape
exactly,
from
yeah,
these things. But the strategies is more practical, for a more musical, more in a creative way. I
yeah.
work finding as the strategies
Finding a more efficient way to work, you know?
efficient way. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, you also have become quite a producer, like I said before, like the arrangements, the production, the mixing, and all that. And you recently produced Gretchen Menn's "Abandon All Hope," which is
Yes,
brilliant, by the way. That's an awesome CD. You did a great
absolutely.
job with that. Now, can you talk a little bit about the difference between producing for yourself and producing someone else, like the freedoms you get from producing or the restrictions possibly? Can you talk about the comparison of producing yourself as opposed to another artist?
Yeah. It's not a very easy thing. Fortunately, I started to collaborate with Gretchen because we have pretty similar taste in music. We
Yeah,
was working the same period. Also, if my album is came out earlier, not separate, but we was working the same period, so very similar things about mixing, making this hybrid
yeah,
between rock, power trio, okay, instrument with real classical instrument, counterpoint things, things like that.
right.
And then, fortunately, it was more easy because I already have an idea of that kind of
Yeah,
what was going to happen. Um, an important idea it was no sorry an important thing was to listen carefully to the composition. As you know, the composition of the album are complex,
Yeah.
you know, are not a free power chord.
Exactly.
You
Yeah.
know, then you can reach immediately. And because in the early stage, the composition was on like Sibelius, on a program that you
Yeah.
need to use a lot of your imagination for listen what is happening, you know.
Exactly. Yeah.
For instance, Grazia likes you to write very well on Sibelius, you know,
Hmm.
in the pre-production, writing a perfect score to give to the musician.
Yeah.
I like to write a terrible score because I'm working on logic and I'm trying to make the sound realistic. But if you look to the score, it's terrible, you
Yeah.
know, because I'm working a different way. Then in the beginning, to me, it was very important to listen a lot of time the composition because composition was very difficult, was complex.
Right.
Also for this reason, because it was from Sibelius. And then, and a very important thing to me was to give my contribution in the production. I mean, from move to the paper to the
Right.
actual final sound. There is a lot of between.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
You know, it's a lot between. But to me, the most important thing was moving from that part to the other part, respecting
The composition of it.
the composition, the sound, and everything. And it was a long work because it's a pretty long album. You know, it's
Yeah.
not in 1 hour.
Yeah.
Usually, when I wrote an album, 35, 40 minutes. My God, I was able to write 34 minutes of album. Incredible. That was
Yeah.
the first time that I was working in 1 and 5 minutes, 1 hour and 5 minutes of music, pretty complex from the
Yeah.
top of the beginning and very various also. Then we worked hard a lot,
Yeah.
and we mixed. We recorded California. We recorded drum, guitar, you know.
Right.
And in Italy, we record the strings, you
Right.
know. First, I was recorded by myself. Then also Grazia came in Italy. We recorded with the musician there,
Yeah.
and we mix and master also in Italy in the same studio where I work for my albums.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah. Then I edit a little bit strings, things like that. You know, sometimes pretty hard to combine electric
Oh yeah.
instrument like electric bass guitar that you can be perfectly at the pitch, you know.
The pitch, the timing, and then also the timbre. Trying to get an electric guitar to work with a quartet. You know, mixing
Yeah,
that can be a little challenging sometimes too.
yeah. This is a thing that we must do in the earlier stage of the composition. The composition needs to be worked from this perspective.
Right. The arrangement of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Then she put a lot of focus on those things because you can't change when you have
Exactly.
record. Important things we did. I did also for my album. It was recording the guitar in the end.
Gotcha.
Okay,
Yeah.
because if you record a string quartet, after your guitar, and then you realize that something are not working.
Yeah.
It's more easy to redo the guitar, of course, than the string quartet. At this point, it's better to record everything.
Yeah.
The guitar needs to be played over,
Right.
especially because if you have a very big budget for do a lot of rehearsal, you know, things like that, and be completely sure about what's happening. Okay, you can do, but sometimes you have the real performance that is different from the MIDI.
Yeah.
The real performance takes much more space, you know. The real instruments sound take much more space than the fake instrument. Also, having the
Exactly.
best strings virtual instruments is always pretty different in
Yeah.
terms of harmonics, in terms of effective the body of the sounds.
Right.
Makes sense. Is
Yeah.
much.
Exactly. Yeah.
Then you need to to be related with the real instrument. Then very important things we did. I did it for my album 2, not Operato. Okay, let's record all premixed all also, and then the guitar need to follow the classical instrument, not the contrary.
Yeah.
Especially because we can work. If I play the part for my song, I can study as long as I want.
Right. Exactly.
I'm hiring a classical musician for playing a part that is pretty complex. Or you have an incredible budget, or you need to make it work.
Exactly. Yeah.
And yeah, we record the strings in separate rooms for having possibilities to edit them.
Yeah.
We didn't use a Melodyne at all, no auto-tune.
Yeah.
I used a little bit in my album, but I did especially for the woodwinds that are pretty delicate, you know. Actually, Melodyne save a lot of things in my album.
Yeah.
Especially between woodwind strings, you know.
Yeah.
When you go to record that instrument, you really understand that are crazy instruments, how they are able to do all well, all good in an orchestra, you know.
Right.
Because they work, woodwinds strings work differently also for tuning, you know.
Oh yeah.
But yes, we recorded the string. Pretty happy with the strings of Gretchen because we was able to have a very great performance.
Yeah.
You know, first, and you need to think the parts for violin in Abandon All Hopes are pretty complex.
Oh yeah.
You have to play super fast all the time, shredding violin.
Yeah.
You know, the violin was super badass. He was reading all by side reading.
Yeah.
Playing quintuplets super fast side reading. It was great.
Yeah.
But of course, pre-production not in pre-production, in post-production.
Yeah.
Having the possibility to record the strings in different room.
Have the separation.
Yeah. I have a lot of room for make adjustment.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
And then we work a lot on pre-production, post-production for not a lot because no melody at all, but timing, yes, a little bit, you know.
Yeah.
Especially because some classical musicians are not used to play with a very rock drum.
It's a different feel, yeah.
And then no melody because if I need to change one note, I like to go to search doing the song, the same note I replace.
And gotcha.
But Melodyne is great, but I like to don't work on the tuning.
Right. So now your next release that you're working on, you said it's more of an extension of your second CD, the more classically influenced stuff.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I like to have these two. Recently, I have these two projects. And the trio, just rock trio, called the Nuts, is like a side project. Came out first like a side project, you know.
Right.
Because composing my composition area give to the guitar less and less space, you know.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Then I said. I wanted to develop all my previous idea from my more rock fusion school, my rock fusion study that are moving more close to jazz now.
Yeah.
Just not played with a purist approach, you know.
Right.
I'm not going to play with a jazz guitar. I like, you know, but I'm not a purist at all, you know.
Right.
It's evident, and it could take really too much time. And then I like the hybridation, like in Operato. I like I make an hybrid between rock sounds and classical sounds. use of classical instruments, and Giant Nuts is the name of the album. Gretchen was a Gretchen name suggestion. Giant Nuts.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, yeah. We wasn't able to find a name. And that is an hybrid between the timbre of the rock distortion,
Yeah,
but with some elements of the language from jazz, especially bebop,
yeah, yeah.
Charlie Parker,
Right.
these things, Bud Powell, Sonny Stitt. This is another area that I like a lot
Yeah,
because give me other input and helps me a lot, especially for find a new inputs, new idea on the guitar.
right. That's cool. Yeah. So,
I like.
yeah, how's the new? Are you in the writing stage, or did you actually start recording for the new?
I'm in the pre-production.
Oh,
I
okay,
mean
gotcha.
composition and arrangements.
Yeah, yeah,
Putting a lot of focus on the pre-production for go to the studio and try to record as quick as possible
yeah.
because everything is clear also for the musician. When you start to record strings, woodwinds, a lot of woodwinds, guitars, percussion, drums, you can easily spend a lot of money.
Oh, yeah,
You
yeah.
know, then my idea is trying to make the sound of the album as best as possible
Right.
without spending an incredible amount of money.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah. That's cool.
Sometimes
Well,
I say that for this recording, I spent this money. Some people say, "Really, you was able to spend so little?" Because I work as much as I can pre-production
yeah,
and then also post production.
yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So if you can go in with a clear idea of what needs to
Yeah,
be
yeah,
done, you
yeah.
get down. Great.
Recent, my first album, I was less experienced, in the studio. Then I remember for the mixing, I spent a lot of time, because the arrangement has some problems. For the second album, Not Temperato, that the mix has an incredible amount of tracks, more respect the first one.
Yeah.
But the time I spent in the mix was half respect the first album.
Gotcha.
Because the arrangement was already prepared in a way that the mix was more easy.
Right.
Mix and arrangement, in the end of the day, is very close to each other.
Oh, yeah.
If you think that a symphony, if you need to work perfectly and you need to hear everything, if you have a solo of bassoon in an ensemble of 80 musicians, for instance, I need to be able to hear very
Exactly.
well the solo of bassoon. That means that the arrangement
Has to
need to
open
make
up space for that. Yeah.
exactly. Then yes, I remember I started to be much more focused on arrangement and pre-production after all the time I needed to spend for mixing my first album.
Right. Right. Great. Well, we're definitely looking forward to that next one. I'm sure, like I said, the 3 CDs that you have out now are just amazing and various
Thank you.
styles, and you really go deep in that. And the technique to pull it off, actually, like I was saying before, you're just absorbing the music, and it's not until you really think, "Oh my God, he's pulling that off on guitar. How is he doing that?"
Thank you.
It's for at least for me, the listening experience was I was being affected more by the music, and it wasn't until you think about, okay, how's he actually pulling that off on guitar, where you realize it's amazing amount of technique. But yeah, we're definitely looking forward to what's coming next from you. And
Thank you so much. I hope to start to record something the next 4 months. I
oh,
still
okay,
to
great.
compose something,
Yeah,
especially because I'm working very carefully on the orchestration
yeah,
because I want the orchestration to be better than Non Temperato also. Because
yeah,
during this year, I studied more about arrangements,
gotcha. Yeah,
but I want all in the right place. Then, of course, the most important thing to me is find a good musical idea. Then the arrangement can take a lot of time too, but I already know how to work, you know.
Right.
But I hope to during the year to. I don't know if I'll be able to have the album out, but
At least get it
I'm
started and
trying.
recorded. Yeah.
Yeah, and I hope the end of the year to have the album ready
Oh, that'd be
to
great.
release.
That's great. Well, we're definitely looking forward to it, man. I want to thank you for spending the time and doing this interview. It's been a great pleasure for me. I've been a fan for a long time, so it's great to
Thank you so much.
sit and talk to you.
Thank you for your interview. It was very accurate. I really appreciate your kind of question because it was. I like when the questions are detailed, you know, and I really appreciate your deep
Yeah, yeah.
in the concept.
Oh, well, thank you very
Yeah,
much. Yeah. Well, thank you. Well, again, we look forward to hearing what's coming next, and I thank you, and hopefully we'll talk to you soon again.
yeah. Thank you, and thank you guys for watching.
All
Okay,
right. Thank you very
bye.
much. Bye.
Thank you so much.